On this Friday night, a Canadian soccer player sidelined. How he's doing after suffering a serious injury during that historic World Cup win.
We're going to try to maintain normalcy.
And where Team Canada now stands in advancing to the next round. Canadian billionaire Frank Stronach found guilty of sexual assault.
Fortunately, today we saw that some of the women were believed.
Fragile ceasefire, what's already threatening the deal between the U.S. and Iran. Plus, not passing with flying colors.
What color is it?
Scummy green.
The U.S. president's costly renovation project that's hit troubled waters.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Canadian soccer fans are basking in the glory of that first ever win at the World Cup and hoping it helps the team advance to the next round. Canada's men's team dominated from the opening whistle in Vancouver, overwhelming Qatar through relentless attacks. Led by a hat trick from Jonathan David, Canada just kept scoring goals. The final tally, 6-0. But one of the strongest players left the field on a stretcher, leaving fans and teammates worried about his condition. Sarah MacDonald has our top story tonight.
A show of solidarity from Team Canada Friday. Its players back on the pitch for practice. With all eyes now on the status of star player Alphonso Davies, sidelined for Thursday's historic win against Qatar, in a decisive victory that galvanized the country.
Now everybody's a Canada soccer fan after a 6-0 win.
But overshadowed by an injury to midfielder Ismail Koné, now in hospital with a double fracture of his left leg, after a red card tackle and an ensuing apology from the Qatari player who leveled it. Tensions between the two teams running high for the remainder of the match as Koné's teammates played in his honor. Canada's coach keeping the focus on what's ahead.
We'll manage it, but it won't be easy.
Koné undergoing successful surgery late Thursday, already visited by his teammates, and expressing his gratitude to his God and his supporters in a social media statement, saying in part, "You can't even imagine how grateful I am to everyone who reached out," promising his teammates, "I'll be back very soon." How are you guys feeling today?
No, I mean, it's like even in the locker room yesterday, it was a bittersweet feeling. Like now where I'm thinking about his mind, and you see my mind go here and there.
Canada's goalkeeper, who secured the team's first World Cup shutout, also addressing this post-game locker room visit from the Prime Minister.
I'll just say I couldn't be prouder as a Canadian.
Caught a lot of guys off guard, and there was a lot of emotion because it was straight from the heart.
A rallying cry for a country on a quest for the World Cup.
I am very excited!
With Thursday's victory, the World Cup craze has gone from a simmer to a boil here in Vancouver, Donna, with Team Canada back at BC Place Stadium next week.
Okay, Sarah MacDonald in Vancouver, thank you. The Canadian team certainly has momentum after that win. Forward Kyle Larin says the team showed the world who Canada is. But where does Canada stand in terms of advancing to the next round? Eric Sorensen is walking us through that tonight.
A remarkable day for Canada actually began with the Swiss.
Today was unreal.
Unreal because Switzerland was a powerhouse. By the time Captain Granit Xhaka put away a fourth goal, the Swiss looked in command of Group B. 4 goals scored, 4 points in the group. Brimming with confidence, awaiting Canada.
Now Canada is going to be I think we can rest a bit of players, or let's see how we do.
But up in Vancouver, Canadian spirits and the Canadian team were ready for the challenge. The goals came fast and furious. The substitute for injured Ismail Koné drove the fourth goal, the one that overcame the Swiss team's 3-goal victory. Jonathan David capped the scoring with his third goal, a hat trick.
In World Cup history, there's never been such a dominant performance. That's the truth.
The standings show Canada tied with the Swiss, 4 points each. But first overall, with all those goals scored, +6 goal differential is the tiebreaker for first place. AI and other predictors give the higher-ranked Swiss roughly a 40% chance of winning the match and the group. Canada just a 30% chance to win the game, plus a 30% chance of a tie, which is all they need. So overall, probabilities favor Canada to win the group.
Goalkeeper Max Crepeau says scoring 6 goals was mission accomplished.
The mission for us was to get a decisive win, which we did.
So Canada's match next Wednesday in Vancouver is crucial because if they win the group, they will play a much preferred third-place team in the knockout round, and they would play again in Vancouver on July 2nd, rather than leaving the country if the Swiss finish first.
It's been our motivation from the start to win the group, and it's more so now than ever.
The momentum is with Team Canada. The World Cup on home soil, a dream they're not ready to wake up from yet. Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
A 93-year-old billionaire businessman has been found guilty of committing sexual assault and indecent assaults against 2 women decades ago. The judge said the allegations against Frank Stronach were credible and she believed the accounts of the women. He was acquitted of several other charges. In 2024, Stronach was charged with so many counts of sexual assault that his trial was split into 2. The second is scheduled for next year. Jeff Semple reports in a warning some viewers may find the details disturbing.
The normally confident and chatty Frank Stronach left the courthouse silent and stunned.
Anything you want to say?
The 93-year-old billionaire initially faced a dozen sexual assault charges from 7 women. In the end, the judge found him guilty of sexual assault and indecent assault related to 2 of them, describing his behavior as quite simply gross and disgusting conduct, indecent and morally repugnant. Jane Boone is suing Stronach, alleging he assaulted her in 1986.
Fortunately, today we saw that some of the women were believed and Stronach is being held accountable for some of the things he did.
Legal observers seemed surprised there were 2 convictions.
These sorts of cases are known for often being very difficult to prove.
Some of the allegations against Stronach date back half a century, and at times the women appeared to struggle to recall. The judge describing some of their testimony as fraught with difficulty, with too many uncertainties.
Other evidence disappears, witnesses disappear, recollections fade.
Many of the women worked for Stronach. Their alleged encounters began at this restaurant bar that he owned and ended at one of his condos nearby, with the women claiming he forced himself onto them.
One of the 2 women whom the judge believed beyond a reasonable doubt was in her early 20s back in the early 1980s and went out to dinner with Stronach to discuss why she'd been fired from her job as a waitress. She says he invited her back to his condo where he groped her.
At times, the woman also struggled to recall some details, but the judge found her to be a compelling, believable, and truthful witness. This legal expert says it's a victory for historical sexual assault victims.
And she carefully canvassed any of the inconsistencies that were present in the evidence, but she found that they did not ultimately undermine the credibility or the reliability of those 2 complainants, and that's really important.
I'm certainly satisfied with the not guilty verdicts.
Stronach was acquitted of the most serious allegations that involved sexual penetration. The judge herself noting the minor or trifling nature of the touching involved is an issue for sentencing. Stronach will receive his sentence in September and faces up to 15 years in prison. Jeff Semple, Global News, Toronto.
A Canadian polling firm is demanding Ontario Premier Doug Ford retract what he said about their polling. Last week, a poll done by the Angus Reid Institute found Doug Ford had the lowest approval rating of any premier, 21%. When asked to comment, Ford questioned the methodology, claiming the poll was taken in what he called a hardcore NDP neighborhood. In a statement to Global News, the president of Angus Reid confirms a letter was sent to Ford's office and that Angus Reid Institute stands by its work. We do believe the public record should be corrected. The agreement the U.S. president signed with Iran on Wednesday is already on shaky ground. Direct talks on a long-term peace plan that were planned with Iran today in Switzerland have been put on hold. Iran's supreme leader says President Trump agreed to the deal out of desperation. One major sticking point is Israel's continued attacks on Lebanon, and there are some signs that ceasefire may be back in place. Redmond Shannon reports on where things stand.
Security is tight around this picturesque Swiss hilltop. But the US and Iran delegations are not here yet, with the start of their talks postponed.
60 days, they have to make a deal, otherwise we will do things that won't make them happy, but I don't think it's going to get to that.
Bravo. One of the 14 points of the interim deal signed Wednesday that set the stage for talks is that US ally Israel end its military actions in Lebanon. Israel's attacks killed dozens of people overnight, according to Lebanese authorities. Israel says it was a response to Hezbollah killing 4 of its soldiers. But then, suddenly, a ceasefire deal was announced between Israel and Hezbollah, reportedly made by Israel under pressure from the US president. Although explosions in Lebanon shortly afterwards showed just how fragile that might be, and Israel insists it won't withdraw its ground troops. Just hours before the supposed ceasefire, Israel's far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir had posted online, "For every tear of an Israeli mother, 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep. All of Lebanon must burn." In response, Iran's foreign minister called Israel's government a genocidal death cult. Ben-Gvir's criticism of the US-Iran interim deal had also drawn an extraordinary response from the US Vice President, who hopes to lead the talks.
If I was in the cabinet of the Israeli government, I might not be attacking the only powerful ally that I have anywhere left in the entire world.
Frustration with members of Israel's government, a rare point of agreement between Washington and Tehran as they prepare to talk about more difficult issues, including nuclear weapons. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
The Italian Prime Minister is publicly pushing back on President Trump's claim that she begged for a photo with him at this week's G7 summit in France.
Le dichiarazioni di Donald Trump sono dichiarazioni totalmente inventate.
Giorgia Meloni put out a statement saying Trump's claims are completely fabricated and saying Italy and I do not beg. Italy's foreign minister has also canceled a trip to the U.S. this weekend because of the comments. In an interview, Trump claimed Meloni begged for the photo and that he felt sorry for her and agreed. The British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is again rejecting calls to step down after a serious political challenger won a by-election and now has a seat in Parliament. Andy Burnham, the mayor of Greater Manchester, won a decisive victory and says his win is the last chance to lay a new path for Britain. He is seen as the top contender to replace Starmer as leader of the Labour Party, but Starmer says he's not going and vows to fight any leadership challenge. One province, 2 healthcare systems. Coming up, Alberta's plan to allow some doctors to practice in both the public and private system. Ontario police are searching for a suspect wanted after the death of his parents in Mississauga. Officers were called to the elderly couple's home last night because of an assault. The couple was found with life-threatening injuries. They later died in the hospital. A Canada-wide warrant has been issued for their son, 46-year-old Jordan Sanguin, on 2 counts of first-degree murder. Police say he should be considered armed and dangerous. Starting next week, doctors in Alberta can apply to work in both the public and the private healthcare system. It is a first-of-its-kind system in Canada. The province is rolling out this fall. Alberta's government says the option to pay for healthcare will help alleviate long wait times. But as Heather Urix-West explains, health policy experts say a lot can go wrong.
When Lynn Brown was struck with debilitating hip pain requiring surgery, she couldn't believe the projected wait.
When they said that the potential was it could be 2.5 to 3 years, I honestly didn't even know how I was going to function.
Brown says she was given the option of traveling out of province to pay thousands for a private surgery.
I said, no, there's no way. I'm not going to do that because we live in a country where these things are supposed to be provided to us.
According to the Canadian Institute for Health Information, only 64% of hip and knee replacements are done within a 6-month wait target time. Until now, those who can afford to have been able to travel out of province or out of country for private care. But starting this fall, Albertans will be able to purchase private surgeries at home, as the province moves forward with a controversial plan to let some doctors work in both the public and private healthcare systems at the same time.
Every physician who chooses to participate will be required to work a minimum number of hours in the public system first, before they can provide private services.
The province says dual practice will reduce wait times by taking those willing to pay out of the public queue. But this University of Calgary researcher says that might not be true.
With every policy, it's always a good idea on paper. So it's when it comes to implementation, how do we implement dual policy.
In a paper published last month in The Lancet, Babito Adebayi found that when surgeons in Ireland, Australia, the UK, Brazil, and Chile worked in both the public and private systems, wait times lengthened for publicly funded patients and private queues shortened for those able to pay. The federal government says it's reviewing Alberta's plans carefully and will ensure the Canada Health Act is upheld before plans are fully implemented later this fall. Heather Eurexpress, Global News, Calgary.
Canada is imposing a 10% tariff on imports of canned vegetables from some countries. It's intended to help Canadian producers while protecting food security and affordability. It does not apply to canned vegetables from the U.S., Mexico, Chile, and developing countries. The tariff is effective immediately and will be in place for a maximum of 200 days. Ahead, breaking ground in Nova Scotia on a coastal refuge for retired whales. If you're looking to get outside this summer, the Canada Strong Pass is back. From now until September 7th, you can enjoy free or discounted rates at eligible national parks, museums, and historic sites. There was a groundbreaking ceremony today for a planned whale sanctuary in Nova Scotia. It's being built as a future haven for rescued marine mammals, and it's supposed to be ready by next year. Though as Heidi Petracek reports, the project doesn't have any whales. It does already have opponents.
Just go like that. Okay, good. All right.
It's been 6 years since this placid Nova Scotia bay was first envisioned as a kind of retirement home for rescued whales. Now the nonprofit behind the idea says it's making progress.
I see a whale jumping, chasing a bird across the surface.
It's taken millions of dollars in private donations to get to this, and it will take millions more to operate.
Now is the time to do this for whales and dolphins, and we need proof of concept, which this will be.
The area behind me would make up a big part of the refuge, with a smaller net pen in the middle where the whales would be introduced to the new environment, and then a much larger net around the perimeter and beyond to give the whales 100 acres of ocean to swim in. The sanctuary project hasn't rescued any whales yet, although it's tried. Earlier this year, the French government rejected its bid to take 2 orcas from a marine park there, and 30 belugas and 4 dolphins from the shuttered marine land in Niagara Falls are going to aquariums in the U.S. and Spain instead.
Because as much as we don't really want this sanctuary, we're not against the people.
There are detractors.
Our concern is that it's going to land on the taxpayers.
These protesters are landowners of property bordering the bay, which the sanctuary leases from the province.
Department of Natural Resources required unanimous consent from landowners, and we were approached to forfeit our ocean access for 20+ years.
They said no. The provincial government gave it the go-ahead anyway.
So why do they get to come in and take over?
Sea Shepherd founder Paul Watson has questioned whether the project will have sufficient long-term funding.
We've tried to meet every complaint that they have.
Vinnick is undeterred. He says the facility built on this spot will have 24-hour staff and marine medical care. A tender is out for the construction of the net pen. Whales, he promises, will come. Heidi Petracek, Global News, Wine Harbor, Nova Scotia.
Sheen of green. Next, what's clouding vision and costing a bundle at Washington's reflecting pool.
Evening, everybody.
Norman. The legendary director who co-created Cheers and Will and Grace has died. James Burrows' career spanned more than 50 years. He got his start in television in the mid-70s, directing episodes of The Mary Tyler Moore Show, and went on to direct more than 1,000 TV episodes, most of them sitcoms. His family says he helped shape generations of comedy and brought immeasurable joy to audiences around the world. James Burrows was 85 years old. Well, it seems there's something in the water in the U.S. Capitol. Washington's landmark reflecting pool has become so murky there's no reflection anymore. After an expensive renovation ordered by President Trump, the water has turned green. The blue paint on the bottom is peeling. And there are questions about who was given lucrative contracts to take care of it all. Jackson Prosco dives into the drama.
Yes, it really is that green, and no, it's not supposed to be.
When I think reflection pool, I definitely don't think green. So I definitely think like a bright blue or something.
2 weeks after it was refilled, the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool is going through some things. Its brand new $14 million blue coating, a color personally picked by President Donald Trump, is obscured by bright green algae. Does it look like American flag blue to you?
No.
What color is it?
Scummy green.
The U.S. Interior Department claims the reflecting pool water is crystal clear, even as crews work frantically to scrub the bottom. They've tried adding hydrogen peroxide, and they've installed an ozone bubbler. The algae seems to have the upper hand. You can actually see it from space.
Oh, it's beautiful, as you can see. I mean, it speaks for itself how awesome this turned out.
And if the algae isn't bad enough, there seems to be another problem lurking underneath it. Take a look at that. That is that expensive brand new lining, and yes, it's already peeling off the bottom. The water isn't the only thing that's murky. 2 multi-million-dollar contracts for repainting and a filtration system were handed to businesses with reported connections to Trump, including a company called Greenwater Services.
Well, the issue's not the algae, the issue is the no-bid contract, right? To me, it's just un-American.
Even if it's cleaned up by 4th of July celebrations, it may be hard to escape the impression this was all a monumental mistake.
I think it's a lot of taxpayer money for nothing.
Lost on few is the irony. Donald Trump vowed to drain the swamp and may have accidentally built one instead. Jackson Prosco, Global News, Washington.
That is Global National for this Friday. I'm Donna Friesen. Your Canada is going global this week. We've got pictures of Canadian pride sent in from all over the world. Tonight it's Kherson, Ukraine, Tauranga, New Zealand, and Vienna, Austria. Please send your pictures of Canadian pride from wherever you are to globalnational@globalnews.ca. And thanks for watching. Sarah MacDonald will be at the anchor desk this weekend, and I will see you again on Monday. Bye-bye.